All right, all right. Testing, testing, 1, 2, and 3. Actually, yeah, 1, 2, 3 makes a lot of sense. We're broadcasting all over the world right now. We've got this is coming live to you in our Discord onboarding channel, also in our Zoom channel, and also in our YouTube channel. So welcome to your onboarding here at Bookmap. First off, welcome, welcome, welcome. We are excited to have you as part of Bookmap. This session is designed for new users to help make sure we get you launched and get you up to speed, get you comfortable with this amazing tool that is Bookmap. My name is Ryan, and I'm going to be your tour guide. This usually takes about 30 to 45 minutes, depending on how many dad jokes I mix in. The last one though, I don't know if I mixed any. I think I ended up like 32 minutes or something. So we were locked in there. Now, one of the things is I decided to start trading. I made the decision, right, to become a trader. This was back in 2001, and man, things have changed since 2001. But I can tell you, I had no trading background. I had no finance background. I just really had the desire to do a little bit more with my life, and I stumbled upon the markets, and I got really excited about it. I spent the next 10 years going through different seminars and different books that all kind of taught the same thing. It was all just different variations of really what I would call conventional technical analysis. And my results were very standard. I would make some money, I would give it back, I would classify it as very, mediocre results. But in 2010, I actually met a mentor of mine, and he had 2 seats on the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, and he was actually on the committee that helped create the S&P 500 contract. When he first started to look at my trades, I remember at one point him laughing because I remember that it hurt my feelings because of how much time and energy I had put into it. But he said to me, he said, "You're trading backwards." He said, "You're doing almost the exact opposite of what you should be doing." But he said, "It's not your fault. You've never been exposed to the real market before. You've only ever been exposed to this kind of retail, conventional side of the market." And so some of the things I'm going to share with you are some of the things that he shared with me over I was going to say that day, but really it was over the next, couple of years that we spent together. So I'm going to share with you some of those things as well because they're very foundational in the market. And Bookmap has actually has been created as a technology that makes these professional and institutional type processes so much easier. But really quickly, quick disclosures. Disclosures. I almost wasn't able to say that word. Quick little disclosures here. All Bookmap materials, right? This is all for educational purposes. We are going to be getting onto some charts and showing a couple of things here, but this is all for demonstration and educational and training purposes. There's no investment advice or anything like that. Trading futures, equities, currencies, it all involves risk. Now, one of the things from a trading standpoint, I always encourage everybody to have very, very sound risk management practices, right? Risk management is the foundation of everything. And there's actually some really cool things that Bookmap does to help us with our risk management, especially if you're on that global plus subscription, right? But I'll show you some of that stuff here in a little bit as we're doing the onboarding. Also, hypothetical markets are different than real markets. That's one of the things that's always important to remember. We are going to be working, when I pull up a chart, it will actually be a simulated chart. I do recommend that you when you first start on any platform, that you start on the simulated version. So even here at Bookmap, get used to using the platform, but where you actually learn to trade is in the real markets. Inside of a simulated platform, you're not dealing with any of the cues that exist inside of the markets, and you're also not dealing with that big E word that rhymes with emotions. We have a lot of fun tools inside of Bookmap that are designed to help you manage those emotions. And help you take, even I would say, like some corrective measures in there. I'll show you some of that stuff as we go along the way as well. If you guys have questions, again, this is our onboarding session, so we don't get too deep into things here. But if you have little questions here or there about getting your platform set up, go ahead and throw them into the chat. I'm going to try to stay on top of what's going on to the chat as best I can. But I also have Dan in here, and Dan is amazing, and he's going to be able to respond in the chat to you guys on some of your questions as well. But so hypothetical versus real, there's always more that you're going to have to deal with on the real market side of things. But on a simulated side of things, that's where you learn how to use your platform, right? That's where you're going to learn how to operate Bookmap. Bookmap is a little bit different than the average platform you've probably encountered. It is more of an institutional type of a platform, which I'll show you that here in just a little bit. But where it is going to be a little bit different, right? There's always going to be a little bit of a learning curve, but so just make sure you remember this is a different type of platform intentionally, right? Intentionally, this is a different type of platform, but it's always good to get used to the platform before we jump into the markets. Now, one of the things my mentor said to me is when he said, you're trading backwards, he kind of laughed at me. One of the things that he said, and I started to say this before I went into the disclosures, he said, it's not your fault. He said, that's the only market you've ever been shown. And in reality, most retail traders have only ever seen about 5% of the market is in its entirety. Trying to trade with 5% of the information is a lot like navigating blind, right? It's just very dangerous, slip and fall very easy. But that's also when he started to introduce me to the institutional side of the market. What we even call here at Bookmap as just the real market. And then the lessons he gave me are very similar to some of the ones I'm going to introduce you here today, some of the resources that we have available for you as Bookmap users, but they're called market mechanics. And so how the market actually functions. And so Bookmap was really designed, if you kind of boil it down, it was designed to level the playing field. You no longer have to work on Wall Street to get the full market access. One of the interesting questions that he asked me when I was just first getting started with him, there was a few questions that I just really stuck with me. And one of them was when he asked me, what controls the market? What makes price go up and what makes price go down? And I remember saying things like, well, news, earnings reports. And he just kept going, no, no, no. And he said, what controls price? Period. Like, this is what controls price. He says everything else is so subjective and everything else is people's opinion and it's their philosophy. He's like, but if you boil it down, what controls price is liquidity, is buy orders and sell orders. And the market is controlled by the economic law of supply and demand. It's not the theory or the idea of supply and demand, it's the law of supply and demand. And it simply says if there's more buyers than sellers, prices go up. If there's more sellers than buyers, prices go down. And he said, period. That's what controls the market. And for us to try to say, well, it went down because, he said, you're just making stuff up. Everybody's just making stuff up. You go to the news and they say it went down because, and that's just their opinion. And our opinion, and I was going to say $3.50 will get you a cup of coffee at Starbucks, but that's not really true these days. Your opinion and like $8.50 gets you a cup of coffee at Starbucks these days. But so he was always focusing on the order flow inside of the market and making sure we're on the right side of the order flow was rule number one in our trading, and that's one of the most amazing things that Bookmap helps us do. One of the reasons why it's really, really important is 80% of the liquidity in the market is controlled by the financial institutions, right? 20% is controlled by retail traders. If you were to narrow this down to a specific asset at a specific price point, you could say it was where a specific institution was trying to buy 100,000 shares of something. At that point, at that price, they would be more like 99.9% of the liquidity at that moment, at that price on that vehicle. But this is just overall in the market. Overall in the market, the banks and institutions control about 80%, and the retail trader controls about 20%. And this is as of November 29th, 2025. So just a couple of months ago when this last report came out. And it's an interesting thing to think about, though, if the institutions control roughly 80% of the liquidity, the retail traders control about 20. If we're buying when institutions are selling, it's a lot like standing in front of this truck. Right? It's a lot like standing in front of this truck. If we're buying when the institutions are selling, we're going to have a very hard time being consistently profitable. Bookmap helps you align with institutional order flow, not fight the order flow. This is the trading revenue from Goldman Sachs in 2024. This is from their annual report. We'll get their 2025 numbers, I think in like March or April. I think it's April when we get the next annual from them. The 2023, they were profitable, I think 88% of the days. 2024, they took a step up. They were actually profitable 93% of the days. 213 profitable days to 17 losing days. 62 days, they were over $100 million a day. Now, Goldman Sachs right here is a good representation representation of institutional consistency. When the participants who control 80% of the liquidity are this consistently profitable, trading against them is not a winning strategy. You can win every now and then, but it's one of the most common and costly mistakes that traders make. One of the real kind of bummers about it is traders are making this mistake over and over, but without having any access to liquidity, they're not even able to recognize that they were on the wrong side of the order flow, at least not very easily. Now, Bookmap is like being able to see what the smartest kid already knows. If you were going to be allowed to copy the smartest kid in school's quiz back when you were in school, if they allowed that, you wouldn't try to predict what they were going to do. You would wait for them to do it, then you would follow the leader. And that's what we do when we're watching the order flow as well. We're not trying to predict what the market is going to do. We watch what it's doing. We watch what the institutions are doing specifically, and we follow the leader. It's one of my favorite things when using that Bookmap helps me with. Now, my mentor used to tell old war stories about the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, and one of them was how they used to always try to sneak into the back offices where the clerks were. And the clerks would have a big desk, and they would have all their big orders, and they'd be organizing it for the day before the market ever opened up. And the floor traders, the independent traders, would try to sneak back into the back office so that they could see where the big stack of buy orders and where the big stack of sell orders were on the trading desk. If they could see that, and I always imagined it looked kind of like this, but it obviously didn't. But if they could see that, why they cared about the order flow is if they could see where all the institutional buying was, right? Which, let me get my laser pointer here. If they could see where all the institutional buying was, then they knew where the low for the day was likely going to be. If they saw where the institutional the big stack of sell orders was, they knew where the institutional high was. And then they would just wait for price to get down to the big area of liquidity and then back up to this higher area of selling liquidity, because the market naturally just moves between stacks of order flow. The job of the market is to get all of these orders filled. And so it is going to cycle between stacks of orders until these are all gone. But so what's going to happen is the market is going to open up. Prices, let's just say, going to start to go down. Those orders are going to get wiped out by some selling volume, but then all of a sudden it gets down to that big stack of buy orders. And in this area, we have 12 buy orders and we have 4 sell orders, right? So this is just an illustration. We have 12 buy orders and we have 4 sell orders. Now, again, the market's job is to fill those orders. But there is so many pending buy orders that it cannot fill all of the orders. It's only able to fill some of those orders. Our net result on our order flow right here is going to be this. We now have 0 on the sell side and 8 on the buy side. So we have 0 supply and we have 8 demand. It is these unfilled orders right here that drive price higher. Right? It's the unfilled orders that drive price higher. A lot of times we spend so much time looking at filled orders, and filled orders have no impact on the market going forward. It is only the unfilled orders. So unfilled orders drove that price higher. One of the keys to this is one or both of these will equal 0 as the orders are getting filled. If one of them equals 0, price will go in the opposite direction. So if supply equals 0, demand will drive price higher. If demand got to where it equaled 0 and there was some supply left over, then supply exceeds demand. There's more sellers than buyers, and price would then go lower, right? So right in here, price goes higher, and it's going to go all the way up into this zone here eventually and start to work on some of these orders and then come back down and start to work on some of those orders. Now, we don't trade horizontally, we trade vertically. So if we take this desk and we stand it up on its edge, right? If we take this desk and stand it up on its edge, whoops, it actually becomes really a chart. You don't see the chart yet because I clicked the button twice instead of only clicking it once. So if we go back to it, if you stand this up on its edge, you see it really becomes just a trading chart. And you see all of this liquidity, bullish liquidity at low prices, and all of this bearish liquidity at high prices, right? That's because it's always about buy low, sell high, right? And the institutions never take their eye off of that. Retail traders were very much guilty of buying high on a very regular basis and selling low. it's kind of interesting that most of the retail strategies actually have us buying up in this area here and selling up or selling down in this area here. And that was what when Bob said that to me, that's what Bob meant by I was trading backwards, right? And if I click through and show us this conventional technical analysis chart, which is a classic chart that I spent a lot of time on, if we just drew a line through the center of this, whoops, oh, there we go, it was drawing. If we just drew a line through the center of this, we would call the upper half, like just to make it very, very simple, we would call the upper half, whoops, I lost my pen now. Well, we would call the upper half retail, and we could call this lower half wholesale. I'll just go back to my laser pointer. My pen turned off. There we go. We'd call this upper half, the retail area, high prices because it's above just the middle. And we could call this area wholesale prices because it's below, right? It's a discount. We want to buy low and sell high. But if we're waiting for that big uptrend to form, we're buying up in here. If we're waiting for it to be above all these moving averages, we're buying up in here, right? There's all of these classic scenarios, waiting for something to cross over, waiting for this, waiting for that, waiting for this, waiting for that. That's what has us buying up in here. The institutions say, I'm going to buy, what do we have on here though? This is just a chart of the Dow. I'm going to buy at 2,500 is what they're going to say. And this is just obviously an old screenshot. I'm going to buy at 2,500 and then they wait for it to come down and they don't buy unless they get a wholesale offering, unless they get the price that they want. Now imagine if we could overlay that clerk's desk on a chart. If we could just get that clerk's desk on a chart. Well, that is Bookmap's heat map. Right, so the heat map inside of Bookmap, that is what you're looking at. I've overlaid, my fun little graphics here to show you how this heat map is showing us where the passive order flow is in the market. Those are pending orders inside of the market. So we have our big stack of buy orders right here, and we even have a big stack of sell orders right here. We always know that passive order flows on that order book is limit orders. And so anything that is above current price, is a sell order. Anything that is below current price, is a buy order. Those can't exist. Those buy orders can't exist above current price. All the way back through here, so we have our passive order flow. All the way back through here, we have our volume dots, and our volume dots track all of our aggressive order flow. This is where all of our market orders live. This is where all of our algo trading lives. We're able to analyze those through those volume dots. And so in here, we're able to monitor and interpret the passive order flow and the aggressive order flow. I put these candlesticks on here just because if you've been using a candlestick chart, that's it. But what really we're analyzing is everything behind the candlesticks. When you start arranging things with time as part of the arrangement, meaning a 5-minute candlestick or a 10-minute candlestick, you actually really start to bury the most important information, which is the context around the order flow and how it was executed and how and what price it was executed. But Bookmap is like having an X-ray machine for candlesticks. You actually get to see what's going on behind them, not just see what happened, right? Not just see a print of the trading activity. And so here again is our heat map. You can see on our order book, even the big bars here showing us where big stacks of orders are, but then we also have it broadcast along the heat map here as well. So Bookmap is, like I say, it's like having an X-ray machine for candlesticks. It's kind of like having a GPS system for the market, and it's kind of like being able to sit next to the smartest kid in school, all wrapped into one. So let's get you logged into Bookmap, and let's get you logged into Bookmap. Just testing. Looks like I'm connected here. I just saw somebody say they can't hear. Dan is on it. Let's get you logged into Bookmap. And we'll get the download process going. So you've probably already done this, right? But just in case, make sure you go into, and even if you want to follow along with me, that's great. You can go to bookmap.com. And the first thing that you're going to want to do is get logged in, right? So we're going to want to get logged in. Once you get logged in, it is going to take you to our Bookmap portal. The Bookmap portal is where you're going to have your license key. And then also in here, there's a bunch of different things that we're going to play around with, a bunch of different places that we'll navigate to and some steps that we'll take. But so you're going to have your key. You're also going to be able to select what operating system you're using. And then you're also going to be able to select which version of Bookmap. And so under versions, you're going to have production. Every now and then, there's also going to be one that's like alpha or beta. There's going to be a different element that we're working on in there. You're always just going to want to be on the production one. Really, no reason to switch over. Just be on or to jump on one. The production one is always going to be the one that is the finely tuned machine, we could say. So from here, we're going to go ahead and click that beautiful download button, and that will start to download the Bookmap installer. A couple of things that we need to do, and about a week ago, I was doing one of these sessions, and I had somebody ask the question, when we brought this up as far as data subscriptions, he said, how many subscriptions do I need? What are the subscriptions that we need? And so wanted to make sure that we go through that. So as we're adding subscriptions, we're back to that Bookmap portal. We got our add subscriptions tab right here, right? Go ahead and you would click on that, and you're going to start to be able to navigate over to the different Bookmap and the different Bookmap platforms, and then also the different data subscriptions. So there are two in here, right? So we have digital. There are two different subscriptions. So I'm going to go through the platform one first. We have digital, global, and global plus. Some of the stuff that I'm going to be showing you today is Global Plus only. Global and Global Plus, the biggest difference between Global and Global Plus, there are a few additional features that you get in Global Plus that you don't get in Global. But the biggest one to me is the ability to trade right on the screen. Just kind of FYI on that. So if I do go and show you guys and I'm placing trades right on the Bookmap chart, that is a Global Plus only. But Global and Global Plus both are full access as far as cryptocurrency, futures, and equities, right? So all of those trade, or all of those are analyzed through Global and Global Plus. Digital is crypto only, right? And so if you're on a digital subscription and you're wanting to trade like the ES or something like that, or gold, for example, you're going to need to upgrade to Global or Global Plus. They all have the monthly, and then they all have an annually. If you just want to save, is it 40%, 20% roughly is kind of the savings going into an annually, which is kind of nice just to pay it once and not have to deal with it for a year. Or you can do it a month at a time, whatever works best for you. But you're going to need to be on Global or Global Plus for indexes, or for equities and for futures. From there, we need to select our data. So if we're just trading the ES, right, we just need the CME, and then here's all the different datas that you can select from. Equities is total view on NASDAQ, or you can do that through DXFeed. And that's the one you need to have set up for trading your stock. Now, here is the a little cheat sheet. I always get asked, like, where is this and where is that? It's hard to remember all of them, and so I just categorize them. But your equity indexes, you need the CME. Your treasuries, your CBOT. Your energy is the NYMEX. Your precious metals, or you need the COMEX exchange. And then crypto, you have your CME, and then the VIX is the CFE. All right. Let's go back over to our installation process. And here we are. We pop open our desktop, and we're going to click on, we are going to click on this Bookmap installer, and away we go, right? We're going to have that next. There's a few things that we have to agree to, and it will be all fired up. So you're going to get to this stage, and you maybe have already gotten here before, and I want to explain to you a few of the things here. I want to explain a few of the things here because they are really, really cool, and they're really easy to look over. So we've got the simulator mode, right, where you can go in and sim trade. You've got the trading mode, where if you connect it to your brokerage account, you could go in and trade. And you've got replay mode. And replay mode, I feel like, is one of the, what's the best way of saying it? It's one of the unsung heroes, maybe, of Bookmap, I feel like. So we can go in Bookmap, we could be recording our orders, and we can be recording our data, and we can actually be creating a replay file. So we could trade all day long, or if maybe you only trade a couple hours in the morning, whatever your trading sessions are, you can create a recording of that, and then you can load it back up in Bookmap, and you can go back and retrade it, right? You can also go back and just watch what you did in there because it'll have all of your orders. It'll show everything that you did. You can have everything tracked in there, and you can see how you performed, right? One of the biggest reasons I think this is really cool is because if you have a written objective trading plan that you're supposed to be following, you can now go hold yourself accountable and say, okay, did I follow my trading plan today? Maybe does my trading plan have some holes in it, right? So it's a great little accountability tool for somebody who is really trying to sharpen their craft, right? It is a great tool for that. Now, once we hit OK and we go to open that up, your first time into Bookmap, you're going to have three symbols. You're usually going to have Bitcoin, Apple, and the ES just running on a delay, right? That's kind of the default when everybody gets it set up, is they have those three just running on a delay. If we want to get this really set up to where we've got the party started, right? We've got to have our subscriptions and everything, but from there we can come in and go up to this connections button, right? I have nothing on, so I have everything that's been disabled. And then I took screenshots of it so I could build it back up in these onboarding sessions. So we go up to connections, we click on that. There's one fun tab called configure, and that's going to open up our configuration portal. One of the first things that we have to do is we have to add our platform. So we're going to make sure we're adding our Bookmap Data into here. Go ahead and install that. It's going to say, great job. You're the most amazing installer in the world. And it's ready to use. We hit OK. And now you'll actually see in the list there, Bookmap listed under the installed in the installed group. We don't have to go look for it anymore. It is actually installed. And once I see that, I'm okay to hit OK. From there, I go over to add a connection because I need to make sure that I connect now my Bookmap data into my Bookmap platform. It is now available, right? So now I'm going to add it as a connection. There's server locations. I have my connection name. On server locations, there's really no reason to get cute with it. You can open that up and you can pick a location if you want manually, but you're really at the risk of not having the optimal server connection for where you are in the world. Right, so in here, just select auto. It's going to sniff out where you are, and it's going to connect you to the right server for where you are in the world so that you can have the fastest data transfers possible. Up here under our platforms, we can also select, maybe we're getting it from DXFeed, maybe we're getting data from interactive brokers, maybe we have Rhythmic, maybe you have an account with like an AMP and you have Rhythmic data from there and you want to hook that up, you totally can. But Bookmap Data, DXFeed, and Rhythmic, those are, I would say, like the top data providers. Those give us the full view and allow you to have the full usage of your Bookmap platform. Where I love interactive brokers, they have a special place in my heart because that was the first place I ever opened up a trading account. But they don't do the total view of the market with their data, so you do get limited a little bit on what we're able to display if you're using interactive data. Going to go ahead and hit OK. Right, we've got this all set up. Let's hit OK, and this magical thing appears once we click OK, and it is called. Oh wait, no, I have to do one more thing. You have to turn it on. So go up to connections and make sure that it's selected, and just check our Bookmap data. Now it's turned on, and now the magical thing will appear. This magical thing is this plus sign. Yay, the plus sign. It's super exciting. It really is, though. The plus sign is our gateway to opening up instruments. You can even see right here, no instrument is selected. Click the plus sign at the top left. So I'm going to go ahead and click that, and it's going to bring up this panel for me to select what in the world I want to analyze, right? So right in here, you can see we've selected stocks, NASDAQ, Apple, just as an example. And you can see as you type in, it'll actually start populating lists for you to help you find the symbols. And then on this one, we said, okay, well, we've got the futures, we've got our CME exchange, and I want to trade the S&P 500. I'm also requesting 7 days of historical data, and it's letting me know that the tick size of the S&P 500 is 25 cents. So it ticks in 25-cent increments. And the ES specifically, every 25 cents is worth $12.50 in profit or loss. So that's always something you have to remember that you got to make sure that you learn is what is your tick size and then what is your tick values, especially when you're out there trading futures. That's the only way to really calculate your risk amounts. So we click all that and we're like, great, we're ready to trade. But we're not really ready to trade. There's still a couple of things that we've got to turn on. Now, one of the first things that I like to do, but again, this is me trading on the platform. I like to right click over here, go down to trading with depth of market, add the default columns. Now, the default columns give me my bid and my ask column, which is right where I can execute orders right from these columns. It'll put my buy and sell orders right in here. I have my chart volume, and then I have my order book right here. And then Bookmap data would be populating all through here. Okay, we're ready to trade, right? Not quite. We have a couple more steps up here, because I remember the first time logging into Bookmap and being like, okay, now I should be able to trade. And I'm like, nothing's happening. How come I can't trade? And the reason I wasn't able to process even a simulated trade was the trading control panel was not on. So up in the upper left-hand corner, we have our trading control panel. It defaults to off. Make sure that it is turned on. Either select chart, DOM, or both. I always just say, just select both. That way you can do it however you want. You could trade on the depth of market, or you could trade right on the chart. It's totally a personal preference thing. I love the DOM, but like Bruce, who is our chief of education, Bruce loves trading on the chart. You know, and I'm talking with him a couple days ago. Even he was saying, yeah, when you open up that DOM, it takes up some of your charting space. And so again, personal preference, but I would just say just select both to make it easy. Now we're ready to trade. Nope, we're not ready to trade yet. We don't have a quantity. Not that big of a deal, but little things that you can get caught up on, right? So we've got to make sure that we have a quantity selected. You could just click one of these buttons, or you could type in or click the arrows on the quantity that you want. So now that we have our trade control panel on and that we have a quantity selected, now we can go over and click a sell in our offer column, and it will create a sell order. Or we can click a buy, and it will create a buy order. If we do actually place one of these trades, it will put an order right on the screen. Yesterday we had a few of these sessions. We had some fun. Some of the sessions that were more during market hours, as we had some of that sell-off. You can see right in here on the heat map this big stack of liquidity, this big stack of buy orders right here, and it's a big stack of buy orders because it's when price was up in here. Right? It actually came down and just sat there and churned on it. It beat up this stack of orders for a long time. If this stack of orders was going to hold, we really would have seen an overall kind of change and an overall move out of there. When it sat there and started to churn, we knew that there was potentially going to be the opportunity to trade down out of that and trade down to the next level that we had in here. So we had a few levels that we were able to push through. This one right here, you get to see even that nice bounce. If you're a reversal type trader, you had good reversal opportunity on here. But now remember, each time that stack of orders interacts with the market, it gets smaller, which is one of the flaws in the concept of support and resistance, right? A lot of the teaching that I was taught about support and resistance says the more time price comes into that area, the stronger it gets. But from a mechanical and a logical standpoint, some of those orders were filled. Now that stack of buy orders is smaller. More of those orders were now filled. Now that stack is even smaller. More of those orders were even filled. Now it's even smaller. So the likelihood of a bounce again is quite a bit lower, right? Because that, if you think about it, that stack of orders is getting smaller and smaller. Eventually, that whole stack will have been absorbed into the market, and it won't be there. And now the demand will be zero, and it will be able to push through. And so these purple arrows actually show where some of our entries were. The yellow arrows show where we got out. So you can even see where the stops were placed. That's where these lines are, and then how we adjusted them. You know, we adjusted to protect profit as we were coming into this area, you know, and then it ended up hitting our target. And this was just simulations that we were doing in some of the sessions similar to this one as we were onboarding during market hours. And today we had a nice volatile day too. A lot of good back and forth, which, you know, they call that a trader's market. You know, it sits there and bounces between stack after stack, and that is that trader's market. That volatility is just wonderful. Resources. Let me show you guys where all of the resources and all these some of these amazing tools are. So if you're back into our Bookmap portal and you go to our education tab, right, which is just up at the top, we click on education. What that's going to do is it's going to take you in here, and a great place to get started is in this getting started lesson. And it's actually a lot of lessons, but this getting started course. We've covered a lot of this in here, but again, it goes into, it allows you to go back through it as many times as you want, but it also gets into more detail. If I go into the next lessons even on like heat map settings, filtering volume dots, volume dot clustering, and things like that, there's a number of different lessons that we don't have a chance to get through in just a basic onboarding that it has, that we have inside of our learning center under getting started. After getting started, there is a course in here that is called Market Mechanics. Bruce teaches this. Bruce, again, our chief of education, and has probably forgotten more about liquidity than I've even ever learned. He is, to say brilliant is an understatement. But so when you get into this course, one of the things that it's 4 hours long, first off. It's broken down into hour segments rather than 2-minute segments, because it's not just a simple this is this, that, this is that. It's a full breakdown of market depth, of volume profile, microstructure, different things like that. If if this course was for sale, it would be for sale for like $3,000. It's something that we give to you as a Bookmap user because our goal is to not only provide you with the best platform, but also make sure that you know how to read that platform to help you be a better trader. Right? We always have that goal in mind. How can we help the users have better performance inside of the market? It's all about creating that edge inside of trading. Market mechanics is one of the first steps in developing that edge. Now, a lot of you I see are already logged in, and I'm broadcasting into Discord. So you're already in Discord. For everybody else, you're going to want to go up to this community page, and you're going to want to click on Discord, and you're going to want to join our Discord community. There we go. You're going to want to join our Discord community. When you click on that, there's going to be a little bit of a verification process that you have to go through. You're going to have to have a Discord login and things like that, but you're going to be on our Discord server. You'll get messages from Dan and Dan's team on making sure that you get verified as a Bookmap user, and they'll get you into the right channels. There's tons of support in here, tons of resources in here. You can see up at the top 28 events. These events are full of different professional traders. They're full of different Bookmap users, different Bookmap experiences, where you're able to go in and really just continue to elevate your trading skills. One of the ones that I would recommend everybody get scheduled for is the All Market Live sessions. These are led by Bruce, and you can go in, and these are every Friday, every Monday, and every Tuesday, right? So if you click on events and you scroll down, you'll find each one of these is a separate event, because every Friday is its own event, every Tuesday is its own event, and every Monday is its own event. Click on interested, and that way you will get alerted every time these sessions are starting. Inside, you'll find so many sessions in here led by some of the most amazing traders that they pop into the Discord channel just to help Bookmap users understand more about liquidity and more how to execute inside of the financial markets. Another fun thing that we're always doing is putting on competitions, right? Right now, we're putting on competitions. You can scan this code so you can get a little more information about it. You pick up your phone, do the little scan there. Trade the trade control challenge. Show us your best trade, and then we always have fun prizes that are going out right now. It's this blue hoodie, which I think it's pretty awesome. So we keep getting trade after trade submitted into this, and we love having these fun competitions. And we'll showcase your trade. We'll showcase you inside of the community, and then you will receive also your Bookmap hoodie. So show us your best trade, but scan that QR code so that you can get more information on that competition. Now, we've got about 5 minutes until I hit that kind of end of my 45-minute window, and so I want to squeeze in. We've got enough people in here that I want to squeeze in one more concept with you guys. This is something, and I'll go through it pretty quickly. This was something that years ago, years ago I kind of stumbled on, and then I showed one of my friends what I had created, and he just kind of laughed at me. And he said, "You didn't create that." I said, "Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. I created it." I said, "Nobody taught it to me, so I created it." He said, "That's like saying you created water because nobody showed it to you. It was there, you just didn't see it." And so this thing that I created is a formula called account risk divided by position risk equals position size, right? Account risk divided by position risk equals position size. And what happened is I was going through my trades one day, and when I first started trading, I was introduced to risk to reward ratios, right? And so they said always make sure you have a minimum of 3-to-1 risk to reward ratio, right? That makes it so if I'm risking $100 and I can make $300, that makes it so I could lose, and I could win, and I could still be what, minus 200 plus 300 puts me at a net of positive 100. So that's with a 33% win percentage. And that was like one of the first things I ever saw. And I was like, whoa, you don't have to be right. Oh, and 3 months of Global Plus and the stocks and futures data and the blue jacket roll on. Oh, that's what you get. Right. Sorry, I didn't list all that stuff. Sorry. Yeah, the winner gets 3 months of global and with the stocks or futures data and the jacket. Yeah, you also get 3 months of gratis. All right. Thanks, Dan. So we end up with that net at 33%. But what happened with my trading is if I had a stop and an entry and I had a target, and let's say one was at 10 and this was at 9 and this was at 13, and I was doing 100 shares, that's great because I'm risking one. So that's minus 100, right? That's minus 100. And I can make 3. So that's plus 300. But then if my next trade was 20 and then 1950, and then my target would be, if we were just staying at 3, would be 2150. Well, that's 50 cents, and that's $1.50, right? So it's still the same, 3-to-1. We had a 1 and we had a 3 here, right? It's still the same, but at 100 shares, 50 cents is $50 and of risk, and 150 is plus 150 worth of gain. Whoops, 150 worth of gain, right? And then if we had another one, let's just say, let's do a bigger spread. Let's just go 600 and 590 and 630, right? And so this one's 10 and 3. These are all 3-to-1 reward to risk ratios. But now we've got $100 times 10. Well, that's minus 1,000. And then times 30, that's 3,000. So the issue that's going on here and that was happening in my trades is my risk amounts were all different. Even though I had a 3-to-1 reward to risk ratio, I was risking a different amount on every trade. Mathematically, that puts you at a huge disadvantage inside of the markets because now you don't even have the law of averages working for you. So right in here, we could go in and we could win, and we could lose. And so in this situation, we have a 66% win percentage and we are losing. We have a larger win percentage and we are losing. So when I first got introduced to risk to reward ratios, they said to me, this makes it so you don't have to be right on every trade. And I was like, wow, that's cool. But it's actually not that cool because it's not actually totally accurate. If you don't have your position sizing done right, which is what this formula does for you, if you don't have your position sizing done right, your risk to reward ratios don't matter. Because you can see I'm required to be right on this trade. This trade has more influence over my account's profitability than any other trade. And I used an extreme kind of difference on here to really make the example show you how concrete or how negatively impactful this could be, right? But even over the course of time, if the variance isn't this much, over the course of time, it will build up to be that much over a few sets of trades. So account risk divided by position risk means, and I'll just keep the risk amounts on here just to keep us brief because we are about to get to my thank you slide. And so on the one, we had $1 worth of risk. On the other one, we had 50 cents worth of risk. On the other one, we had $10 worth of risk. Well, if we take account risk divided by position risk equals position size, Account risk, let's say we have a $10,000 account and we're going to risk 1%. That's going to be $100, right? So now I'm going to go account risk, $100, divided by position risk, which is 1. That means that's going to be 100 shares. Account risk, $100, divided by position risk is going to be 200 shares. Account risk, $100, divided by position risk, which is $10, now going to be 10 shares. 10 times 10 is negative 100, because we're doing the risk side. 200 times 50 cents, negative 100, right? 100 shares times our negative $1 worth of loss, negative 100. We had 3 to 1s, and so we know our potential targets were at least 300. So we've taken price out of that. Now we do the same thing. We just want to go, so like trading futures, I do the same thing. I know that the S&P trades in 25-cent increments. I know that each 25-cent increment is $12.50, right? It's $12.50. I know it's $50 per point. And I know there is 4 ticks, 4 25-cent increments, 4 ticks per point. So if I wanted to risk $100, right? If I wanted to risk $100, I could do 1 contract and I could do 2 points, right? So I know exactly where my risk is. And one of the cool things about it is Bookmap does that for you. You don't have to worry about all that craziness. I used to have to run spreadsheets on everything to make sure that I had all of my position sizing appropriately. Bookmap does that for you. So one of the other reasons why I love to trade through Bookmap, I can come down here. Now this is calculated in ticks, not in points. So in here, I can set up this bracket down here so that it'll give me a stop order at 10 ticks. So 10 ticks would be $100 plus 25, it'd be $125, right? And then 30 ticks, right? So I can do that off of ticks and I can make sure that I have the risk to reward ratios that I need. But most importantly, I can make sure that my risk amount is consistent between my trades, right? I can make sure that my risk amount is consistent between my trades and start having that law of averages even on my side in my trading. Start having that consistency. When you're trying to analyze what you're doing well and what you're not doing well so that you can improve, it's very difficult to do that if everything is done differently. So the more consistency that you can have in there, the happier you will be. All right, the 3 most common and costly mistakes that traders make: buying when institutions are selling. You got Bookmap, right? Practice with Bookmap. Make sure that you are on the right side of order flow. Number 2, selling when institutions are buying. Again, we got Bookmap. Use that Heatmap, right? Those first 2 are pretty much the same thing. And then number 3, trading with an objective process, creating that edge for yourself in the market. Number 1 and 2, that's what Bookmap is for. And number 3, that's what the Bookmap Academy is for. When you get logged into some of those classes and some of those courses on Discord, it is all about creating the edge. There's one specifically called the Pilot Program, and even in it, it says, come in here and create your trading edge. So between Bookmap and Bookmap Academy, there is a lot for you to get involved with, but we are excited to have you a part of our Bookmap community. Thank you all so much for jumping in and joining our onboarding session today. I did go 5 minutes past my allotted maximum time, 50 minutes, where usually they're 30 to 45 minutes. But I don't always do that risk to reward section. It is kind of like a bonus section, but it's one of those things that I wish somebody had told me 10 years before I learned it. I learned that probably like 8 or 9 years ago. It was a complete game changer for me, and I wish somebody had shown me that 25 years ago. It's we always have to have that systematic, objective approach to everything, and then you can actually really start to see what's working and what's not working. Awesome little post there with the blue sweaters. That's so cool. Thank you, Dan. Thank you for your help. I saw you chiming in on all the questions coming through. Great job. Doesn't look like we have any pending questions right now, and I know I took up a little bit of extra time. Make sure that you're getting into that all market analysis course. That's a great place to go in and get live support on anything that you're working on. Bruce will be breaking down the markets in there, but you can also bring your own situations in there and have him help you get some clarity on them. Thank you all. Have an amazing rest of your February. Man, it's February 4th. At least it's February 4th at my house. You might be on the other side of the world. It might already be the future where you live. It might already be February 5th. That's pretty cool. All right, everybody, have an amazing rest of your day. Having an amazing rest of your afternoon, your evening, your morning, whatever time of the day it is at your house. We are excited to have you. Welcome to Bookmap, and we will see you all in a live session on Discord very, very soon. Take care.